Let's see. The other one I wrote is be gracious to your friends who are there. And if we look at our friends, you'll probably see that there are ones that we hang out with more often than others. Like maybe they're the ones that live closer to us or the ones that have like a lot more interests as we do. And sometimes when you hang out with somebody for so long, they start to get like irritating or like the simplest of things start to like build up. And if you really think about it, it's like you're more likely to get into arguments with people that you see more regularly as opposed to your friends who live in other places. And so I think we start to shift. We're like, oh man, that friend that lives like on the other side of the country is like a better friend because we never got into fights. Well, you also probably saw them like once a year.
Right.
You know?
That is for sure true because I am that person. I don't know what it is, but I always hit a point in any type of relationship where I don't know, my nerves just get bothered, and it's at no fault of them. You know, they're just being themselves.
So you should get
I'm over
triggered.
here on like my high horse, like getting pissed off over nothing. But that's true.
Right.
That is so true.
And so maybe understanding that, like, if there's a friend that you hang out with every weekend, like maybe just take a break from them, like every once in a while. You know? Like maybe like, okay, I can't do this weekend, but let's for sure meet next weekend. You know, I needed to
give yourself space. Or give, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a relation. It's a real relationship.
Yeah, because for me, I always like to, like, I feel like I need to recharge every time I go out and hang out with people. So, like, after I hang out with people, I'm just like, I don't want to see anybody for the next few days.
Right.
It's just like, I want to be alone. I don't want to talk to people. I'm just like that kind of friend. I'm just like I guess a low maintenance would be the right description for it. Because I don't need to talk to my friend as often as some other people like to talk to.
Yeah.
Because I have friends from like high school, even middle school, that have been like best friends for a long time. Andrew and Christian, you know them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've known them since middle school, and like they're still in my life, but I mean, they already moved to like SoCal, so like I barely see them. But every time we hang out, every time they're in town, or every time I visit them, it's still kind of like once we get together, it's like it feels like nothing has changed in a way.
Right.
Like obviously we've all changed personally, but like when we hang out, it's still like, oh, we're having a good time. It's like everybody's like joking around, and it seems like we're like, even though we're not as close because proximity, one, but also like we still feel close when we see each other. And even though we don't really necessarily talk all the time. With the friends that I have here, like I just need time to like figure out like, all right, we'll hang out at that time. I'm cool with that, but like the rest of the time it's my time. And that's just how like at least I like to like live my life, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's like you get more excited when you see a friend that you haven't seen in a long time. There's like so much to catch up on, so many new things going on that it's easy to like be engaged and be interested.
Exactly.
As opposed to like a friend that lives near you who you see like every week. It's like what really has changed in that week, you know?
Yeah.
It's like same story, you know? So
that is true.
It's like being gracious in terms of like, I mean, if you need a break, let them know that like you can't do it. I mean, don't blame it on them. It's like I need a break from you know?
No.
Just be like, I need like this week to kind of like regroup, kind of get things in order, maybe like re-energize myself. And then also be aware that they might be in a similar position where they might need to take like some time to themselves.
Right.
And just being okay with that.
Yeah.
You know? And if, you know, that friend who you see like every week isn't available, then go try to hit up one of your friends in your other circles or something, you know? Go on a hike, go to the club, do something.
Yeah.
Or even like use that time for yourself.
It is interesting though to hang out with the people that you don't normally hang out with. It's because it's like it's so different.
Yeah.
It is different.
Yeah. And it's like
comfort zone.
It's very I don't know if novelty is the right term for it, but it's just like it's cool, but then I'm just like I'm not used to it. So it feels uncomfortable a little bit. Yeah. Especially if like you're not like super close to them, you just know them, or like, oh, we've hung out a few times,
Right.
But then like they bring you to like a totally different circle. You're like, oh, I don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
Because I just actually had that experience too. Like somebody, one of my friends invited me to a pool party, And like I went, like I only knew like a couple people there. I mean, there wasn't a lot of people there, but still, I'm just like, huh. I wasn't really very social around that time too, just because I wasn't really feeling it. But
Right.
I was still having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just kind of like, huh. Like I'm not used to like hanging out with people that I don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of takes it back to like one of the first points that I brought up is like when you put yourself in those new situations,
Yeah.
like setting those expectations and letting that friend know that, hey, I might leave early, just kind of depending on if I'm like not feeling it.
Yeah.
Don't tell
Oh,
people I'm not feeling it, but like just don't be surprised if I suddenly
actually that's
leave.
kind of fair too, to let them know ahead of time, like, hey, I don't really know people there. I might leave early or whatever, but
Like, yeah, I'm down to go to the pool party, but I might head out early.
yeah,
You know.
that's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Actually, I do that with my husband.
What? Like, hey, we can hang out, but like, I'm good right now.
Because he has like his friends, and sometimes we'll go like on a
Oh,
date
when you
together.
hang out with his friends.
Yeah, so like we'll go on a date together, and then we'll go hang out with his friend afterwards. And not that I'm not friends with his friend, but sometimes I just know that I don't have it in me. Like my social battery is below E
Yeah.
or whatever. My gas. You know what I mean? You know, it's low, and I think now I've actually started to just admit that, hey, you don't want to be out, Felicia. Like, don't try to stick it out. Go home. It's fine. You know, husband's gonna be totally fine on his own. And sometimes it's shocking for him because it's such a change. But I think I'm in such a phase.
Do you
in my
tell
life.
them, you're like, hey, I'm not feeling it. I'm going home.
Yeah, and it actually happened recently because that's exactly what happened. We did an event together, like a photography event, and then we had like some drinks and some food, and we were supposed to go out and watch one of his friends DJ. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna tag along. Like I'm gonna do it. Son's with grandma, so let's have a night out. And I walked in and I was like, oh, there's too many. There's a lot
Like,
of
nah,
people.
it's not it.
I'm like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I just felt like I was going to be a bummer for them.
Yeah.
So I just removed myself from the situation. I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I tried to come out and I told my husband, like, I'm just going to go home. And he's like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I don't want to be here. And then I just went home and just hung out, did some editing.
What did he say? He was cool with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took the car and I think he got dropped off.
Oh, okay.
I think it's important to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And then like being honest with others, which I feel like is a trend or a commonality between all these tips, is like communicating and over communicating.
Yeah.
Because when you don't, then that's when you get in those situations, and sometimes it doesn't
Yeah.
work out well.
And then from his perspective too, like he probably like it's probably better for him to not have you around.
Yeah, because
if you're not if you're bummed out
about me.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's like, oh, wife's not having a good time.
exactly.
You know, and that's not fair.
Because like I've dealt with that before too, with like my ex. Like we would go out and like she doesn't want to go out, and then I would have to like entertain her the entire time, like trying to take care of her, and like I don't really want to do that when I'm trying to have fun. So it's just like, and then vice versa too. Like sometimes I don't want to go out, and then like she has to do the same. But yeah, like I would rather, at least for me now, like I would rather like go out on my own or have my significant other go out on their own if I'm
Yeah.
like if we're not feeling it, you know. Just because it's just gonna bum everybody out.
It
And it's
really-
just not,
yeah.
it's not fun.
Bring
It's
down
gonna
the
be a
vibe.
total
Exactly.
killjoy, like.
Exactly.
But that's
Oh yeah,
why
be honest.
be honest, and he knows enough to ask now.
Yeah.
Be like, do you want to go? No. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's also important to know that people are more likely to like talk about or to question the person who's bringing like the group down at the party
Yeah.
than the person who left, you know? Like people might be like,
That's
oh, where'd they
true.
go? And you can just say, oh, they went home early and then
Yeah.
end the discussion. But like,
Yeah, that's
if
true.
they see somebody who's constantly bringing the energy down,
Yeah,
people
Like
are
you
gonna
can
talk.
see it
that.
or you can feel their energy
Yeah.
too.
True.
Yeah.
Energy vampire, don't be that.
Exactly.
Don't be
Get on your own bus.
Like go home.
Get the hell out.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I think
Jeez.
people will appreciate you more for doing that.
Yeah.
And you save the party by not being the energy vampire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like I do that too. Like
Be
when
a
I'm
pooper all on your own.
when I go to a party and I'm like, I'm not feeling it, I'm like I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. And people all like a lot of my friends now too, they're just like, oh, they're just like not feeling it. So they're cool with it.
I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's such an adult thing.
Yeah.
Because I would never have done that as a teenager
Yeah.
or even in my early 20s. You know, you're just putting yourself through misery just to be part of it.
Yeah.
Right? FOMO.
Like we're too old
Exactly.
to be people pleasing all the time.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's true.